Hi, welcome to another episode of the Knitting Hobbit Podcast. I thought I would start filming as I am binding off this sweater because I wanted to film and show off this sweater, but also as soon as this is done, I want to get it on the blocking mat so that I can wear it as soon as humanly possible. So I thought, why not start filming now? So here I am. This is the Lanark sweater by Rebecca Clow from the Creabea podcast. This is a test knit for her, which is due next Wednesday. And I believe she's also planning the release of the sweater for next week. So if you are interested in this, then the wait is nearly over. I will just take a little break on the binding off and show it off to you. So it's this zipped up sweater. It is in half brioche or half fisherman's rib. She gives both options to do. It's all over, so it is a lot of work, and I have a serious love-hate relationship with this texture. I'm not the biggest texture knitter. I like chunky textures, like I knit the September cardigan last year somewhere, and I absolutely love knitting that because that is brioche, full brioche on worsted weight, and yeah, because you're knitting it flat, all the brioche that you're doing is like knits, yarn over knits. It's no purling, so that's just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then I saw the tester call for this one, and I was like, okay, I need that jumper, because you do have the petite knit zipper sweaters, which are very similar, but those are in stockinette, and the squish factor of this texture just makes it unreal. Like, I've tried it on and it is so comfortable. Even though it wasn't finished yet, I didn't want to take it off. Because it's just so comfortable. So I'm really, that's my dishwasher done. So yeah, okay, I am really excited to get this all finished, all blocked, all pretty and nice and ready to wear. But I was just so fed up with knitting this texture. It felt so incredibly slow, because you have to knit every row twice, just like in brioche. But it is a DK to worsted weight sweater, I think. But I, for the life of me, could not get gauge with the recommended yarn weight. Even on really small needles, I had to knit it super tight, and I was still 1 or 2 stitches too big. So I decided to go down in weight, and I went for a sport weight yarn actually. I actually have a ball band right here. I am using Eastex Camp Yarn, which is their 100% merino yarn, and I love it. It is amazing. I haven't worn it yet, so I don't know how it's going to wear, but if we can take the Eastex stuff in general, like they are the makers of Letlopi, Waffles-lopi, Plotolopi, Eindband as well. They are all such workhorse yarns that will last you a lifetime. So I'm hoping that this yarn will be the same. I know that there is a discussion about whether this is superwash or not. The ball band doesn't specify either. And I bought it on the website of Etna. They are a Swedish yarn company that I've collaborated with in the past, and I'm a really big fan of their yarns and everything. But their website does say, I believe, that it is a superwash. But I'm not sure. It could be either, honestly. It doesn't have like a very superwashy feeling. It still feels very, very woolly. And I've also been spit splicing everything in this sweater, and I've absolutely had 0 problems doing that. It felted together quite easily. So I'm leaning towards non-superwash, but I don't know. I cannot say for sure. At least it's a nice soft yarn that I'm really, really happy with, and it looks really nice, and combined with this texture, it is just very, very lovely. So yeah, do I have anything to say about this pattern? I think I'm making size 2, and I still have to calculate my exact yardages, but I had 10 balls of this yarn, and it's 50 grams a ball, so I had 500 grams, and I've used somewhere between 350 and 400 grams. So I think that's a nice like weight for a jumper. It's not too heavy, but yeah, just nice. So I still have to weigh the whole thing and see where I'm at exactly. I am a small person, and I think Rebecca might have longer arms than me, because I had to shorten the sleeves quite a lot. But, you know, I have to do that in a lot of patterns. I'm more surprised if the specified sleeve length is actually good for me. That sometimes happens, and it surprises me, because I do have really short limbs. So, yeah. But that, of course, takes up quite a bit less yarn. I think I'm like 5 to 10 centimeters shorter than the specified length in the pattern. So that is quite a bit. So that does give it less yarn. So I think if you have longer arms than me, but also are knitting a size 2, then probably counts around 400 grams, I'd say. Where's the... Maybe a bit more. This is what I have left of the... What number would this be? The 8th ball of yarn? Yeah, the 8th ball of yarn. So yeah, I think around 400 grams if you have longer arms. So yeah, and after this, well, I still have to wait for the yarn to arrive, but as soon as it does, I'm going to be casting on another project by Rebecca. It was my dad's birthday last week, and he's getting older and he's getting colder. So he's actually starting to wear jumpers a lot more. And years ago, I knitted him a jumper that took me 3 years to knit. I started it when I still lived in Scotland, and I finished it in the Netherlands. So yeah, 3 years. That's a really, really long time. But it's a pretty ugly jumper in my personal opinion. Like, now that I can actually knit pretty jumpers like this one, that one is just not up to snuff. No, it's not doing it. So now that he's actually wearing it, I decided he could get a little jumper upgrade. So he could actually have a nice jumper to wear, because he mainly wears it at work a lot, because he's in an air-conditioned room sitting at a desk and it's just too cold. So what I did, because I find it really hard to figure out what kind of style my dad likes, it can be really tough. Like, I can kind of guess what he would kind of like, but I'm not completely sure. So what I did is I made a folder on Ravelry, and my favorites, a bundle, and I called it that, and I just put man jumpers in there, because or jumpers that were knit by people for men, and maybe the sample is not for men, but it's like a unisex jumper. But I thought that my dad wouldn't be able to look through a female wearing it. I really thought that he would immediately go, oh no, that's a jumper for women, I'm not going to be wearing that. So I really did my best to like accumulate pictures of men wearing the jumpers I picked out. I picked out a selection of about DK to Aran weight, so it wouldn't be too light and take me absolutely freaking forever, but it also wouldn't be too bulky and warm. And then within that, I decided no texture. I am not doing textured jumpers. Maybe a little bit in the yoke, but that's it. I'm not doing no more than that, not all over. Because after this jumper, I'm just done with texture for a while. And 1 or 2 years ago, I knit a jumper for my brother's birthday, which was the Single Malt by Maxim Cyr, which is a really nice pattern, but it has broken seed stitch all over. And I was just so done with it. Because like I said previously, I'm quite a short person. I have short limbs. My body is pretty short. You know, that's why jumpers go somewhat fast for me, because I can just stop knitting sooner than a lot of other people. But you know, men are often taller, especially taller than me. So it felt like I had to knit 2 whole jumpers to get one men's jumper done, just because the sleeves felt like they were a mile long, and the body, and it's just, So, no texture. I did decide there could be a little bit of color work in there, maybe not too insane all over, but a little bit would be fun and give it some interest, or have some texture just on the sleeves or just on the yoke, you know, a little detail of something. I'll drop the link to the bundle down below if you're curious, if you want to find a pattern for a man that has these criteria that I just mentioned, then you can definitely have a look in there and see if you can find any inspiration. And one of them was the Care sweater by Rebecca. And first off, I showed him the picture of the one that Mega from Skeins of Dreams made. It is her husband, yeah, they're married, her husband wearing it. And she had made a gorgeous version with the wider band of color work. Rebecca has 2 options, one for a wider one where I think it's 2 repeats of the color work, and one that's like halved. And my dad liked it but didn't love it. And then I showed him the project pages on Ravelry, and Rebecca has a sample that is green with like grey beigey color work, and that one has the smaller band of color work, and he loved it. So after I did all of the work finding males wearing the jumpers, he picked one where Rebecca was wearing it. The only thing he said was, you can make the body longer, right? Because the version that Rebecca is wearing is like a little bit cropped. And my dad was not going to be wearing a cropped jumper. So I assured him that I could do, you know, I could just lengthen it. I can do normal length, whatever length he wants, I can knit that. And then he was fine with it. So yeah, I'm really excited to get that going. I have put in my yarn order with Edna, but they're currently really busy with their new collection, which is really exciting. They have some new yarns, some new yarn colors, and some new patterns with Jarbo and I'm going to pronounce it so badly. Svarta Ferret, I think it's called. That's how I read it, at least. So they're currently really busy, but I think somewhere next week it should get shipped. I also got new glasses, and I feel like I keep pushing it back. It's just not staying on my nose how I want it to. But I really like them. My other glasses are black, and these just make it all a bit softer, and they have some interest with the little different colors, some light bits, some darker bits. But I don't know. I'm struggling getting used to them. And I feel like if you feel like behind your ear and stuff, they should be fine. But they're still constantly like slowly gliding down my nose. And I like them to be pretty like close and up here. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that if I can change something around. These are from Charlie Temple. I'm not sponsored, sadly. I've been buying my glasses there for years. They're an online store, so you can order your glasses online, but if you don't like them, they have free returns, which is really, really nice. And it's fully like prescription glasses. Like I have a cylinder adjustment, and they're the same price as if you didn't. And they have different like options. I like them. They're affordable, like generally around 70 euros if you upgrade to the nice like glass version. And yeah, I've had them for years and I really like them. They're decent quality. Even I still get my eyes tested at a proper like optician, and they sell where I get them tested, they sell like the really fancy designer glasses. And my optician knew that I ordered them online at Charlie Temple, so he was having a look at my glasses, and he was actually very impressed by the quality and how they looked. So that's nice to know. Yeah, but it's just a little bit, I want to love them. But if I have to do this too much, I'm not going to, and I'm going to go back to my other ones. But I prefer the look of these. I don't know. Also, I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast episode, but I'm in a chat group with a bunch of podcasters, and a little while ago everyone was doing this website where you can see your colors, so like what kind of palette which would suit you best. And I came out as I think a deep autumn, which gives you a lot of the brown colors, like this, the brown glasses, and the green I think is also an autumn color, and I do think it really suits me. Now I'm not like going to be 100% influenced by this at all, because the other day I also bought a new t-shirt that is bright pink, absolutely bright pink. I absolutely love wearing that, and I don't think it makes me look bad, but it's everything but an autumn color. It's just not at all. It's like the pink of my nails. If it kind of focuses on that. It doesn't, but you can see the color. Absolutely bright pink, like my nails matched it pretty well. Yeah, this is just turning into a bit of a waffle instead of a proper podcast episode, but I did want to get a video out because it has been a while, and I've just been so focused on this jumper. I have knit some other things, but I'll have to look back at my last podcast episode to see like where I'm at, what I did knit, what I didn't knit, and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to see. I hope next week to be able to film a normal podcast episode again. And yeah, next up is a new cardigan that I want to knit. I made a knitting plans of 2023 video a while ago, and I shared there that I wanted to knit a black cardigan that can just go with everything. And that's still the plan, but I've changed the pattern. So originally I was planning the Big Love by Anke Strik, and that's all over texture. And after this, I'm not doing that. I just cannot be arsed to do that. I don't want it. I want that cardigan. It looks really cozy, but not now. But what I do want right now is a black cardigan, because I'm noticing more and more how much I kind of miss it in my wardrobe, especially now that the weather is turning, and in the office you're like, sometimes I want to wear a t-shirt and sometimes I want to wear something warmer. I'm feeling the need for a cardigan more and more, and I do already own an all black hand knit cardigan, which is the Airy cardigan by Fable Knitwear. But that one is in Holst Coast and a strand of mohair. So that is a really thin, more of a spring cardigan, spring and summer. I absolutely love taking that with me in summer when you might want an extra layer, because it's quite light, but it still gives you plenty of warmth if you need it. So yeah, but I want a warmer version of that. So I was browsing Ravelry the other day to see what I wanted to do. I want something kind of basic that can just go with everything. And I can wear it to work, and just, a very all-round cardigan. And I wanted it to have some interest, because I was also looking at, just a plain, I think it's called the Seasons cardigan. It's like a top shoulder, very plain, very simple, stockinette top shoulder cardigan, which is also really nice. But I like it more when it has a little bit of interest and a little bit of originality in it. Like in here is a pretty plain jumper, but I added a rose gold zipper, and that just makes it pop out a bit more. I like those little details. So I was looking at I think it's called the Moorland cardigan, which is really pretty. I think it has a saddle shoulder, and then it has this pretty cables that kind of reminds me of a plant, like with leaves. Most plants have leaves, but you know what I mean. I was looking at that, but then I scrolled further and I found the Sycamore cardigan, and that's going to be it, you guys. That is such a pretty cardigan. So the body is all like plain and simple and stockinette and easy, but then on the sleeves you have like on the bottom half of the sleeves you have these textures, and it just looks so pretty. It's just that little bit of detail that I like, and just a bit of texture and a bit of interest, but not too much. I think it's some seed stitch in there, and some either garter or purl ridges. I haven't bought the pattern yet, so I don't know. I just looked at the pictures, but also not very in detail. And it's a V-neck, and it looks like you knit the ribbing at the same time as the rest of the cardigan, which I really want to do. I've not really done that before, but I find it really annoying when you finish the whole cardigan and you still have the button band to do. It's this thing that just annoys me. It's something small, but if we can skip it, I like to skip it. And it has a V-neck, which I prefer personally for hand knit cardigans, because I have knit some cardigans with a round neck, but I tend to wear my cardigans open most of the time, and it just doesn't sit well in the ones that I have knit. It hangs very low instead of like nicely around your neck. It hangs very low, and it's just this little flap that is just absolutely useless, and I just don't like it. Other people may like it, but I'm just not a fan. The only version where I don't mind it is in the Festive Yoke cardigan by Skeindeer, because that one I knit at a pretty tight gauge, which makes it kind of stay up pretty nicely. But as soon as you knit it on a looser gauge, it becomes all like floppy and weird. And I am just not a fan. So yeah, for in cardigans, I prefer V-necks. So right after this is done, I'm going to be skeinin up that yarn. I'm going to be using the Svensk Ull from Jarbo in the worsted weight, and I'm just excited. It's going to be such a wardrobe staple in black, just like this one will be. As soon as this one is dry, it is going on my body and not going off for a good while, because I've already tried this on. It's so comfortable. I already told you guys this, but it's just so comfortable. Yeah, I'm nearly there. I have been waffling on for 25 minutes. Let me think if I can think of something else to waffle on. Oh, I want to show you that in a minute, but first I would like to get this done. Oh yeah, I also knit a pajama sweater. I like in the winter, I like to sleep in big sweaters. And it's already going down to like this. This is a very like thin fabric, but still long sleeves. But this is my it's getting warmer sleepwear. And yeah, when it's proper cold and freezing, I like to sleep in really big sweaters and sweatpants and socks on. I'm just the coziest person is what I want to be. So I was looking on Instagram, and you have a Dutch Instagram account that is called Het Gare Schuurtje, which is the yarn shed. And on there, the person that runs that arranges to sell your stash. So you can, if you have any stash that you want to sell, you can message her and you take a picture and say what you want and stuff like that, what price you want, what it is, the amounts, you know, all the details about the yarn, and she will put it up on her account, and through that you can buy yarn. So I bought some yarn that was for sale, and it's yarn that I usually would never ever buy, but it was so cheap. I bought it for €6 in total, and with that came a couple colors of chenille yarn, which is just really, really soft, and almost like, if you knit it up, it's almost like a fleecy fabric, and a teddy type of yarn. So I bought that, and I decided this will be my sleepwear. And I knit it up pretty quickly. I used the adorable Uma pattern, which is really nice, and I think I would like to make it again in the future, but in like a nice chunky yarn, and not this. It's kind of an ugly sweater, but it is so comfortable. So I would like to make it again, but pretty, in a version that I can wear to work. My work is pretty casual. Like, I could wear this to work, it would be fine. I could, you know, even a hoodie, as long as it's not offensive, or you're not in like summer, if your bum is not sticking out, you know, and you don't have like an excessive amount of cleavage. Just, you know, we can dress casual within limits. Which is really, really nice, because that means I can wear pretty much anything that I knit to work in, which means in winter I wear big sweaters all of the time, and in the summer I have worn just a tank top, and then with one of my really thin ranunculuses over it, because I feel like technically in the office we're allowed to wear just a tank top, but I'm personally not really comfortable with that. If it's just like a tight black tank, but if I put a ranunculus over it, then it feels more covered. but you're still getting all the, you know, air. It still has a lot of ventilation built in. So yeah, I don't know where I went from that. Adorable Uma. Want to knit it again at some point. A couple weeks ago, I also made a video that I have not yet uploaded, but I sewed a apron for my brother. And I was just looking at the footage the other day, and I filmed so much, but what I didn't film is the actual finished thing. I filmed the whole freaking day of sewing, and I didn't film the finished thing. And my brother's birthday has gone and passed, so I don't have it here anymore. So that video is still like on hold for someday when I'm feeling like finishing it up, adding in a picture or something. But it's just, it feels a bit anticlimactic to have that whole video and then not properly show off the finished object. That kind of bums me out. But if you would like to see it, I'll edit it and I'll see where we go from there. But yeah, oh my god, I'm nearly done. This is already half an hour of just binding off, and I had already had a pretty decent chunk done before that. It takes like an hour to Italian bind off this freaking jumper. And don't get me wrong, I do love this bind off. I think it's quite meditative. For me, it's pretty mindless. And I prefer it over doing a stretchy bind off, both because I prefer the look, but also because I find this a lot easier than having to pull over the stitches on your knitting needles. I often drop stitches, and you know, I've just had quite often that is the point where it all kind of goes wrong, and then I get super annoyed just because I just want to finish. I just want to finish it. And then all of these things go wrong, and I just, my patience is done. But this is easy. This doesn't go wrong for me. Every once in a while, I give it a little tug to see if everything is okay. It's not too tight. And then, yeah, we're nearly there. But I'll put this down for now because I don't have anything else to waffle about, and I do have something to show you. So let me pull my table towards me where it's on. Kylie from the Happy Kiwi Stitch Markers, she put out a spring collection, and it is so damn cute. So I'll show you. The first two things I'm going to show you aren't specifically from the spring collection. She just has these for sale. But I really wanted some raglan markers, and she had these. Oh, I just tried to turn them, but as I turn them to show you, they're little gemstone hearts. And often I've bought raglan markers before, but I just buy 4, and then you have those types of raglans where you need to put in a marker, have a couple stitches, and then put in another marker because you have this like thing going down. So this time I bought 8 in 2 different colors, but they're still matching. But yeah, I'll see if I can show you up close a bit. My phone doesn't want to work with me. But yeah, there you go. And it's the Happy Kiwi Stitch Markers. You can find her shop is on Etsy, and she's also on Instagram. But then from the spring collection, oh my god, these needle stoppers. They're so adorable. If you love Disney and Bambi, It's, I don't know what he's called in English, but in Dutch he's called stampertje, which means stamping like his foot. And tje makes everything like small in Dutch and cute. So stampertje, needle stoppers, they're so adorable. And then I looked further at the stitch markers. I'll try to show you these one by one. And there's a little stampertje stitch marker. And I found this one, which she makes, also makes stitch markers with clay. And I think this is one of them. It's a little sheep with a little flower crown in 3 different colors. Isn't that just the most adorable thing? Look at its little feet. And it's so, oh, it even has a little tail. It is so cute. So cute. I'm sorry. I am absolutely in love. Like, she also, I had her Christmas advent calendar. And this little mouse guy was in there. And he's just, look at his little face and his little tail. And he's holding some holly. It's just, it's so adorable, Kylie, if you're watching. It's so adorable. I love it. She, of course, also had a bunch of bags and everything, like she always does. But I have plenty of bags from Kylie. And I decided, there were some that I liked, but none that were like, I need that. So I decided to not get any, to be smart for once, and not get any bags. But I'm really, really happy with these stitch markers and with these needle stoppers. She also had a set of needle stoppers where one was stampertje, so a little bunny rabbit, and the other one was a carrot, which also is really cute, but I thought more bunny, more better. So I got 2. Yeah, I'm really happy with them. And also, while talking about friends, Lianne is always absolutely nagging me on and sharing me sneak peeks of her new collections, and I cannot afford it. Because if I want to buy yarn, I want to buy a freaking sweater quantity, and that shit gets pretty pricey. But yeah, I just wanted to mention her. And if you're looking for some hand-dyed yarn from the Netherlands, have a look at Sheep Yarns. She's lovely. She has some really nice and bright colors. I think a little while ago she shared that she had some very, very bright pink. And I feel like I'm going into a very, very bright pink phase. So that might be in my future. But first I want to knit with some yarn that I have in stash. And of course I need to knit my dad's jumper. So I need to have some form of priorities here at the moment. And not go absolutely crazy. In the kitchen, I have a bread making machine, and it's on with some bread that's baking right now. And the smell is starting to like come through from the kitchen, which is like through that door. And it's just so lovely. And I also feel like the ultimate grandma. Like, I have bread baking, I'm knitting a sweater that is apparently in Dutch this is called a schipper sweater. So, you know, apparently I was knitting on this on my dad's birthday, and everybody was like, oh, that's an old Dutch sweater. And I'm like, it's just a zipped sweater, I don't know. But apparently, according to my family, it is. And I'm done. Time to pull the last bit through. Get it. Usually I just pull it tight and I go down the ribbing like this to weave in the end. And it always just stays fine if I do this. So, you know, that's my tactic. I pull pretty tight, and then I pull in like all directions to make sure it's good to go. snap off the excess, and it is done. I'm so freaking happy. Look at it. This just makes me happy. My bottom always looks a bit wobbly, but as I wash it, it usually turns out fine. So I'm going to get that going now. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Yeah, this pattern will be released somewhere next week probably. So look out for the Lanark sweater by Rebecca from the Knitting Hobbit Podcast. I am going to block this now. I'm really happy that this is done, and I'm going to immediately cast on something new. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you next week for a proper podcast episode. This was kind of a ramble, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I had fun doing a little bit of catching up. So yeah, bye bye.